All right, we're out here working on the boat today in the shop. We're gonna get started moving all of this underneath the new rear deck and rear seats. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the cover off of this, get all these braces taken out so that I got better access. Probably start by taking the battery out, getting the computer unbolted, and we're gonna try to relocate those first. And really that's pretty much all there is to it, except for this little regulator box or whatever that is, and then the two switches, one's the bilge pump and one's the start stop button. So get all this stuff taken off and go from there. All right, now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to unbolt the battery and the computer. I think I've got to take this line, this power cable off the starter, because that's the only way it fits under that thing in the seat there, that little divot. And I think I'm going to put both this battery and the trolling motor battery are both going to go on this side, so that whenever I'm sitting over there, it'll counteract my weight so the boat won't sit super crooked in the water. At least that's the plan. And then if there's two people in the boat, we might have to rethink the rear battery. Might have to get me one of them fancy lithium batteries so it's not so heavy, but we'll see when we get there. So I'm just going to take out 3 bolts that hold that in. I believe I got 4 holding the computer in. I'm also going to relocate the computer where it stands upright, because I was reading online and they say that there's a, I don't know if it's on these or on the newer ones, but there's a switch in the computer for the top system. So it might think it's turning over with it laying down like that, because I did have that check engine light pop up one time. So yeah, that'll get stood up, battery going right there. Okay, and just like that, everything's out. The only wire that's left over there, that's the wire that goes to the fish finder. So it'll actually stay there, because eventually there will be a floor in here, so that'll just run underneath the floor. So the only wire I might have to lengthen will be this one. That's for the gauges, I believe. I don't remember how much. There's extra underneath the front deck, so I'm not sure if there'll be enough to get all the way back. The computer will be on this side somewhere, standing up. The little battery, start battery, will be here, and then the trolling motor battery will be on this block of wood back here. So next step, I guess I'll go ahead and take the stick steering off, just so that this whole bench can be cleaned out. And what I was going to do was actually just cut this off below the level of whatever the floor is going to be, because it's already welded down and it will add rigidity to the floor. But I didn't realize that the whole seat, other than like right there and then one on the other side, is already ripped off the bottom of the boat. So I might clean it up and tack it back down, or I'll just cut it out completely. So we'll see. All right, I changed my mind. I'm going to mount the computer over here, because I've already got this block of wood down here that the rear deck sits on, so that'll be a nice place to mount it to. Most of the cords will be long enough here. This one here goes to the starter. And I think if I turn the way it's angled, I can go underneath the motor and it'll go right over to the starter. The only one that's definitely going to have to be lengthened will be the one for the gauges, because I thought I made it long enough, which I made it longer than it needed to be, but it's only got like an extra 6 or 8 inches, which isn't a big deal. I lengthened it once, I can do it again. So yeah, I think I'm going to mount that there and then work from there. I just have to lengthen these 2 grounds here. These go to the front of the block, so that's not a big deal to lengthen those. Figure out where I'm going to mount this here. It just kind of needs to hang up somewhere, I guess. And I might end up putting the battery on this side. I said I was going to put it on the other side, but I might put it over here. That way I don't have to lengthen these battery cables, because This is just a normal cord. I don't know, this one has 3 30-amp fuses in there, so that'd be a little trickier to lengthen, but we'll see. Okay, I got these ground wires here. They're lengthened and hooked back up right down there. Next step I'm going to work on is mounting this. So what I did is I got this little bracket here, which this might look familiar. That's because all I did was I cut this out of the seat where I had it mounted before. Since I already got this real slick cut here, I just painted it black. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it up behind this piece of angle. Oops. Kind of like that. Rivet it in and then mount the box right back in there. Alright, got this little guy mounted, riveted into here. This is screwed into the metal, so that'll all sit up there out of the way. Next step will probably be figuring out where the battery's going to go, so I can see if the positive cable is going to be long enough. The negative cable should be plenty long because it just bolts onto the front of the motor. So I either need to build me a little spot to set it over here, or I'm going to lengthen the cable and mount it over there. Okay, gonna get started by cutting the seat out of here so we can get more room to work up against the front of that new rear deck. So I got the angle grinder out. I'm gonna start by cutting these little pieces of angle off, so then I can come in here and cut these off as close to the side of the boat as possible. So yeah, that's what we'll get started with. Alright, got that all cut out of there. Gonna come back in with the vacuum and clean up all the dust. Try to keep it somewhat clean while we're working. And then we'll get started on the next step, which I think for now I'll try to get this battery over here mounted. I've got some battery hold downs, and then I'll have to do something for the battery on the other side. Got our battery here. This is going to be for the trolling motor and lights and anything else. I'm going to try to keep just the starter on the little battery that's on the other side of the boat. So I've got it sitting on these 2x6s here that are glued to the hull of the boat. So I've also got some little stainless hooks. These actually came off of the bimini top that was originally on the other John boat. So I'm going to mount one of these on this side of the boat, or on the wood, and then this one will go on the front of the wood. And I've got just a cheap battery hold down kit, so that will hopefully work for this. It's got the little hooks on the end, so they'll go through my stainless hooks, and maybe the battery won't go anywhere. Okay, I got this battery mounted. Just got little wing nuts on top. Doesn't seem like it's going to fall out. I ended up putting a piece of this foam underneath just to give it a little bit more shock absorption. Don't know if it needed it or not, but it's under there now. So now we're going to move on to this side over here, where we have our starter battery, which is a lawnmower battery, because that's cheaper than a power sport battery, and it has 350 cranking amps, cold cranking amps. So I'm going to get a little piece of wood cut out to glue down right there, and we're just going to mount it the same way, except for the fact that they don't have a hold down that's that small. So I've just got the two hooks, and I'll just cut a bar out to go across the top of the battery to hold it down. And then we'll have all the batteries mounted. Most of the wiring is done, or at least it's kind of where it needs to be until we get the decking on it, so I know where to drill the holes, and then we'll start working on covering all this up. Alright, this is what I got so far. I got the battery sitting up here on the block of wood. I went ahead and screwed my little hooks down, so these will come up here. There's one on that side too. Now all I'm going to do is cut out a piece of something, probably aluminum, use that old battery mount that I had, and get it to go across the top of this. So then it'll be securely attached to the block of wood, and then we'll glue the wood down in the back just like we have been gluing all the other wood down. And hopefully that'll keep this battery stationary. Got a piece of scrap aluminum cut out. I was going to use this, and then I remembered it has this big weld on the top, so that wouldn't look very good. But I got this piece cut out, drilled the holes. I'm going to go back and round all the corners off, make it look a little bit better, or at least try to. And then we'll get it set back down there in the boat where it goes, make sure everything's good, and then we will glue this on. And I'll also probably put a piece of foam under this battery also. Alright, I got done with it. It's not much prettier, but it doesn't have any sharp edges on it, so that's good enough, I guess. So that'll go on there. We're going to take the block of wood back there now and make sure that it still fits, and then we'll glue it on in. Alright, there it is. Down in its new home. Looks pretty good. Still be able to get to the cables, because this right here will have a hatch that opens to get to the main computer and fuse box. So I'll be able to get to that battery through here. Plus, I'm sure this will all be removable also, just probably not as easily. So we're gonna go ahead, pull that back out, clean the bottom of the hole, scuff the wood up, put some silicone or something on it, some window caulking probably like we did the other boards, and stick it down in there for the last time. All right, got the batteries all mounted up, so I'm gonna work on something else. So I got my line drawn out here on this piece of treated plywood. This should cover the back part of the deck, just the rectangle part, not the part that covers the motor. So got my circular saw, and we'll see if we can't get this cut out. All right, got it sitting in here. Looks pretty good. The only downside is these back pieces. I knew I was going to have to trim them because I didn't cut the whole corner support off the transom. So I'm going to come in here and just start small and work my way up and get this cut out of here. So this should sit down pretty flat. Should be about even with the top of the gunnels. And we'll have us a nice covered rear deck. I'll probably end up coming in, if it becomes a problem, I'll probably come in here and put a piece of angle so that this can get attached on the sides, since there's nothing in there, but that's not really a big deal. So we'll get these corners marked out, probably get the jigsaw out, try to cut those, and get this thing sitting down a little bit nicer in the back. Okay, finally got this piece pretty much set where it's going to go. It's not attached, and it's a little warped because it's been leaning up against the wall for a little bit, but got it so it sits down pretty good back here. Had to shave these off and cut out this weird little shape here to clear the corner support, but it only took me about 100 trips out to the table out there to cut it, to keep the sawdust down in here. But that is pretty much what the rear deck's going to look like as far as the very back part. Now we'll go ahead and get me a piece cut out to go over the engine, and we'll just keep piecing it together. Have us a whole boat here in a minute. All right, got this piece here screwed down. Been working on a template for the seat bottoms. It's going to sit in there just about like that. Well, yeah, something like that. We'll trim it more once we get it cut out of wood, because this cardboard's kind of annoying to work with. Need the single layered stuff, but that's kind of how the seat's going to go. And then it just so happens that if I turn this template over, it fits over there. So we're going to get 2 of those cut out of the 1/2-inch treated plywood, and put them in the boat, see what they look like. Okay, got the seat bottoms put in. Look pretty good. The wood is a little bit bowed, so it's hard to say. It's been sitting against the wall for, well, since I built that front part. So that one there is in. I'll probably end up trimming this back just a little bit to give these wires a little bit more room. I mean, it would fit right there. But that's the bottom of it done. Now we're going to cut out a piece that will go in here. I don't know, something kind of like that. It's going to be at an angle from the front to the back. So we'll either do it that way, or we'll just come in and do them like that all the way to the front, which is just leaning in. But I'll bring the camera back out once I figure out which way I'm going to do it. All right, we got this piece in here like you saw on the last one screwed down. I went ahead and cut out one piece for the side and one piece for the back. That's kind of pretty much exactly where it's going to be. Makes the seats a little snug, but there's still plenty of room for me in there, which is all that really matters. This piece here still needs to be cut off to the correct height because it's too tall right now, but I'm going to get the top piece of the engine cover cut out so that sits exactly where I want it, and then I'll come in and I'll mark on the back side of these where they need to get cut, so then everything will be nice and flush and smooth on there. All right, we got the top piece on there. It's attached with 4 screws for now, just to hold it in place. Got our side piece set up there with a line on it, so we'll cut that off so it'll be flush with the top panel. Probably going to have to put some sort of brace here in the back because this wood is bowed and it just needs to be pushed down, but there's nothing to screw it to there because I was planning on just having a hinge across here so that this piece will flip up out of the way whenever you need to get to the motor. But we're not going to worry about that for now. We're just going to get this piece cut off so it's kind of the right shape, and then if that will work, we'll try it on this side, and if it works, we'll cut another one out for this side, and we'll basically be done other than the little front piece covering up the whole rear deck. All right, we got both sides pretty much covered up. Got the back of this seat, side of this seat. I actually ended up making the one for this side was a little bit wider, which fit better on that side, so we just swapped them, but you don't know that. So got both sides done. I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple little screws in these to hold them together just so they don't fall over while I'm measuring and getting everything else set up. And we're just about got the whole rear deck covered. Okay, we got these seats kind of screwed down. The backs aren't screwed down because there's nothing really to attach them to right now. We'll end up having them attached in here to these of aluminum probably, or I've got one other thing I might try, but we'll see. But yeah, so those will just sit in there. Everything else is attached, so now I can actually get in there and move around without everything falling apart. Looks pretty good, I think. That's going to do it for this video. I was going to get these pieces finished up here, but I ran out of battery for the saw and it's getting late and I need to get this video edited. So next time you see this, we'll probably already have the front pieces on here because it's just 2 more pieces of wood, or if I got real fancy I might do it out of 1. But we'll get those covered up, and then on the next video we'll start with controls and wiring because I do have to move the stick steer. It's probably going to come out in the middle somewhere, that way you can drive from either seat. And we're going to get the reverse mounted, throttle mounted, and I've got all these parts in here, lights, navigation lights and all that stuff will get mounted and ran, so we'll probably end up having to pull the old front deck off so we can run wires instead of trying to go underneath it. But thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.